I'd like to welcome everybody to the Board of Supervisors meeting for November 13th, 2007. Would you all please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Supervisor Callaway will not be with us today. She is this board's representative on the California State Association of Counties, and they're having their annual meeting this week in Oakland, I believe, and she's down there representing Calaveras County at that meeting. We move along to the consent agenda. Consent agenda items are expected to be routine and non-controversial. They'll be acted upon by the board at any one time without discussion. Any board member, staff member, or interested party may request removal of an item from the consent agenda for later discussion. Any board members? Any staff member wish to remove an item? Any member of the public wish to remove an item? Entertain a motion.
So moved. Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries on a 401. I think that's right. We will stand adjourned until 9:10. Keeps me on, well, she tries to keep me on schedule here. And she did tell me about this. I just glassed right over it. Item 1 on the consent agenda, the minutes of October 16, 2007. One of the clerks has been absent and didn't get that completed, so this is going to have to be continued for 1 week, so that will be omitted from the approval of the consent agenda. That will be continued for 1 week until the 20th of November. Okay, moving along, we have several announcements. Closed sessions that we had earlier last week. Closed session on November 6, 2007. It was a closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9b1, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, significant exposure to litigation, 2 cases. This was canceled. There was also a closed session conference with labor negotiator under Government Code Section 54957.6, Assistant CAO HR Director, Calaveras County Deputy Sheriff's Association, was continued until today, November 13th, 2007. And thirdly, a closed session conference was held pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9a, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, grievance, Waller and County of Calaveras, resulting in no action taken. In addition, we have, in addition to today's agenda, will be IHSS closed session at 10:15 this morning. Following agenda item 15, there will be a closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.6, conference with labor negotiator, county representative, CAO, IHSS providers, SEIU, human resources. Okay, now move along to item number 8, which is public comment. Any member of the public is invited to make comments, public comments for any item not on today's agenda.
Good morning, Under Sheriff Michael Walker. I have 2 items. The first item, the sheriff couldn't be here today. He's attending training, but he wanted to express his thanks to the Board of Supervisors on behalf of himself and the sheriff's office for the board's action in putting Measure J on the ballot. As you're aware, last week, it appears at this point, though we don't have an official canvass, that 2/3 of the voters did approve Measure J and will be moving forward with the jail construction projects. The sheriff is attending meetings this week in Sacramento that deal with the state funding out of AB 900 and going over things with the state. So we're moving along on that front also. Our application for those funds will be due in March. We should have tentative word in May as to what funding we will be receiving with an award in June. So we look forward to moving forward with the project, and once again, thanks to the board for putting this measure on the ballot and the voters for passing the measure. The second item I have deals with Deputy Gray Foster. Last week, and I attended a meeting with the Attorney General, California Attorney General, where the Attorney General awarded Deputy Foster a Attorney General's letter of commendation for actions that Deputy Foster engaged in on September 9th, 2006 at Maloney's Reservoir. At that time, Deputy Foster and another deputy with the Sheriff's Office, officers with the Angels Camp Police Department, confronted a suspect out of Santa Clara County that was wanted for murder. The suspect was actually driving the murdered victim's vehicle. They ordered the person out of the vehicle. The person failed to comply, charged at the officers with the vehicle, striking one of the deputies with the vehicle. At that time, Deputy Foster had to use deadly force to apprehend the suspect, and for his actions, the Attorney General awarded him a certificate of commendation. So I just wanted to inform the board of those items, and want to thank the board again for passing Measure J.
Thank you, Mike. And Deputy Foster,
Congratulations.
I want to congratulate you on behalf of the board and the citizens of Calaveras County for your bravery. I understand that you're relatively new on the department at that time.
Deputy Foster, at the time of the incident, had about 2 months on with the department.
What an introduction. How do you like it so far? Anyway, you deserve a round of applause. Thank you very much for your quick action and for your bravery.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you.
Hello, Marilyn Rowland back here to have a little visit with you. I see Brett Harrington has replaced Tom Mitchell. Welcome back to Calaveras County.
Thank you.
I think. I want to thank Tom Tryon and those that voted against Trinitas to make it move back to gathering all the essential necessities of conducting our county's business when you go to build or excavate anything in our county. I would like to also say I'm here today on one special matter, and that is the animal control services. As you know, in 2000, we had a report by the grand jury, a negative report, and which has come around to be corrected in several ways. As a result of that report, there is much needed help again in the animal control services. The caseloads are too much on the people that are out in the field doing the reports. I ask that this be under some kind of consideration to either hire at least one, not two, for the animal services so they can do the job that needs to be done so that this does not go back into the hands of another report. I myself own a kennel. I have had one in this county. It's been grandfathered in for 30 years. It is up for review as of August of this year. I have paid my fines. I have yet, since August, not had anyone to come to my home to do a kennel check due to the caseloads in the county. It's obvious to me that there is an increase of animals, an increase of caseloads, increase of a lot of things going on up here. And I ask that you definitely look into it, or that we might have to call upon our people to look into it for you. This is not a threat. This is caring about animals, caring about our county, not wanting ever to have a negative report as we did back in 2000. I thank you.
Thank you, Marilyn.
Uh-oh, they're coming to take us away.
I'm Leslie Daniel with Public Works, and I'm here to share with you the 2008 Recycling Guide, which is being passed out right now. The first distribution of the new Recycling Guide is with the new mixed recyclable containers that are going out in the Calaveras disposal territories this month for the program to start the 1st of December, first week of December. The new mixed recyclables program is we're eliminating the requirement to sort your recyclables. Now you can put all your paper containers in one container. So in the Calaveras disposal territories, we're moving from the blue bags to these new containers. In addition to that, the Calaveras disposal is also rolling out their business and multifamily recycling programs. So all those containers are going to be distributed this month for pickup to start the 1st of December. The mixed recyclable program, the idea of no sort, is countywide. So that'll be in SCI's territory as well as Calaveras', and you'll also be able to mix all your recyclables at our recycling and disposal sites around the county. You'll be seeing a media campaign to announce the new mixed recyclables program. So that'll be going out in newspaper ads and bus ads and hopefully some free publicity through articles. There'll be a sign campaign at the recycling and disposal sites. So we're excited. Basically, mixed recyclables is about taking the new sorting technologies in the industry and taking that convenience and passing it down to our residents and our businesses. In many jurisdictions, we're seeing a significant increase in volumes coming in with the ease of the new program, and we're hoping to see that here too. And I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any. Okay.
Steve, you have a comment?
Yeah, I do. I just have had an opportunity to work with this program a little bit with my district and trying to move things out of the waste stream. There's an advantage to the county. We're judged by and required to take a certain amount out. If we're in violation of that, I think there's all kinds of consequences ultimately that could befall us. So I wanted to take particular note that the person before us has really changed our whole approach to the program and has done a tremendous amount to set us up for more success in this area, and wanted to thank you.
Thank you, Leslie. This is a very well organized and informative brochure, and these are going to be accessible where?
Well, the first distribution is going to be with the new containers, both the business carts as well as the new residential containers. And then we're going to be getting those out through fairs, post offices, libraries, doctor's offices, and I'm open to any and all recommendations of opportunities to get them distributed.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Shouldn't we have that one back here?
Yeah.
This is yours to do with as you please. Do you like it?
Yes, we have just the spot.
Set it over there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Leslie.
Thank you.
Are there any other comments this morning from the public for items not on today's agenda?
Yes, my name's Terry Borsa. I visited you guys this spring about Sky High Ranch and about their snow removal, snow closure policy. And it's come to my attention again that they're trying to push a snow closure policy, quote, snow removal policy in disguise, that the snowmobile policy is going to be tried to work into the road closure policy so it looks official, so that you guys sanction it. That's coming to you. We heard from Maria Calloway. She says, yes, she's been working with somebody at Sky High Ranch to get this road closure policy through. and the board of directors were sent a package saying they had 3 days to respond to any changes on this road shoulder policy. Otherwise, it's going to be sent to them as is. And also, I stood up here last spring and said that the county had lost control of their roads up there at Sky High Ranch. This summer, they were filling in cattle guards with asphalt. And I stopped and asked the guy that filling in the asphalt, I says, do you guys have permits to fill in these cattle guards? Because I know the cattle guards weren't supposed to be filled in, because they were filled in once before about 20 years ago, and the Forest Service complained, and the county had to go back in and put brand new ones in. So when I go down, they said, oh yeah, we have permits on this to fill in these cattle guards. Then later on, I come down, and there they are digging up across the road, putting a brand new culvert in. I says, why are you putting this culvert in? He says, well, we figured it needed a new one. I says, do you have permits? Oh yeah, we got permits. So I went down to the county this morning and asked, do you have any permits for anything that you issued Sky High Ranch, especially the road closure policy? And they says, no, we do not have it yet. And I says, do you have a permit for removing snow? And they says, no, we sent it out last week. It hasn't returned to us yet. And I asked, do you have any other permits that you have issued to them? And they said no. So those guys have been up there lying to us, filling in your roads, possibly causing you more hardship now, because you're going to have to come back, dig those out, because the cattle guys up there want those cattle guards in place. And we tried to talk to these board of directors at the regular board meetings, and they have an agenda set up where it says open period at the beginning and open period at the end. The open period at the beginning, they always change the agenda so there's no open period at the beginning. And then at the open period at the end, they close the meeting and they said, now we'll have an open period where everybody can talk. 2/3 of the board gets up and leaves. So there are about 4 guys there sitting there listening to your problems. The 4 guys are the ones that are trying to help us. The other 5 are the ones who are causing the trouble up there. Just be aware that you're going to have a snow closure policy. Rob Hooton, 2 years ago, wrote this up on a road closure policy on how to do it very effectively, where it would take about 20 minutes for you guys to enact this. Nothing would have to be done by our board of directors saying, yes, this is what we want. And it has speed limits on there. It has everything that's supposed to be done on a road closure policy. And they refuse to give this to the homeowners themselves or mail it out. We have mailed it out, emailed it, everything, every member that we could find. Then they say that they want feedback on road closure policy. They say they haven't got one letter on feedback. We have sent them letter after letter after letter to the post office box in Bear Valley where they say to send it. It never appears in any minutes, anything, correspondence, or anything. It's always intercepted at Bear Valley. That's how we don't have any voice in our homeowners association. That is why the legislature now is enacting so many laws to curb these homeowners associations from acting. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Borson. Supervisor Callaway is not here today, but she's assured me that she's going to continue to talk with you.
Good morning, Tom.
Morning.
At the present time, my name is Virgil Borsa. I represent myself, but I am a member of the our board of directors at Sky High Ranch. I live in Vallecito on Cap 9 Road. I've been there for the last 15 years. I've been up at Sky High Ranch for the last 42 years. We've taken in from a seasonal use up there to an all-round use for all winter and summer for us to enjoy. The last 35 years, you probably haven't heard a thing from us. The last 10 years, that's probably all you're hearing from us. We presently are discussing the snow removal policies of up at Sky High Ranch, and we seem to be having conflicting information, and I'm here to ask us to get the proper information that we need. One of the things that was pointed out was that the fact that we had a meeting in 2006. The deputy sheriff was up there, CHP was up there, Marie Calloway was there, Public Works Department was there, everybody was there, but I didn't know a thing about it. So what they're trying to do is to keep us and not inform the people who want to do something up there and have been doing things up there, and this thing is not going in our proper direction. I'm here today to ask you, is this letter that has not been publicly debated up there yet, was actually dated 2006, and is this still in play? If not, we'd like to know how and why we can get this in play. This coming weekend, we're having a board of directors meeting, and they are now pushing for the snowmobile policy and snow removal policy. If this is the case, then I want to know, who, why, what, where, when, and how. We're not being informed. Within the last 4 days, I got another supplemented to the packet we were supposed to have up there at Sky High Ranch, and it had a whole letter demanding that we be there, and we're going to set up this road closure policy and snowmobile policy. In the meantime, I went ahead and started operating the petition. Within 3 to 4 days, I have probably over 12% of the members who live in Sky High Ranch or have places or owners up there that they want to vote on snow removal and snowmobile policy. At this point in time, we'd like to know why Marie Calloway is having meetings with 2 or 3 members up there and not notifying anyone else. I've never been notified. So I'd like to know how we can take and channel this into the factor that we have to know what's going on. It's the I can go into the amount of money that's been spent in the last 2 years and what's been done with it. This association has spent over $500,000 in the last 2 years, and we have hardly anything to show for it. And our reserves are down to zero. We're down to zilch, and anything happens to our water system. So this is one of the reasons why we'd like to sit there and find out what you, as a board, can help us with this particular situation in regards to finding out what Public Works is going to do and what are they requesting us to do. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Borson. I will relay your comments to Supervisor Calloway, and I'm sure she'll be happy to meet with all of you.
Good morning. Art Roberts. I had a phone conversation with Mrs. Calloway last Thursday. We discussed many things in reference to Sky High, all of these issues that you've heard about. In the conversation with her, she stated to me that she talks with the board of Sky High. In truth and reality, her main conversation point has been with one person, a fellow by the name of Mr. Barnett, who is a realtor at Sky High, who is renting properties, who is probably the prime mover trying to get properties plowed for obvious reasons, because it's easier to rent. Up in the high country, there's very few open roads right to your property. I feel this was something that's wrong, maybe even illegal in the process. I tried to point out to her that the Board of Sky High has never approved anybody to come to the Board of Supervisors and speak to them. And if they had, like any other boards that I've sat on, they would have a minutes of a meeting or something authorizing their appearance here by a majority of the board. And I'm sure Callaway should have had something similar from you talking for the county. But none of that ever surfaced. But it seems like when last year, and I've been fighting this for 3 years, it's been an ongoing situation, point of contention, where she refuses to listen to the people that vote. The road is a county road. It is paid for with taxpayers' money, not homeowner associations' money. And I would like to see things brought back to where they're open. Private meetings, even within the county, to give permits and policies, I feel should be open for everybody to review, not just a closed-door session for writing a permit. So there's one policy. Does each supervisor get to set a policy for their area? So there's 5 different policies for the county, that would be different. This seems to be part of the problem, because when Rob Hooten wrote his, it was perfect. It was right on. We let it set. Marie Callaway got involved with Public Works, and suddenly the policy comes out where all of the roads can be plowed. And the board at Sky High, especially Joe and his followers, want to plow more roads. Well, it's not really physically possible financially. The people up there cannot afford that kind of snow removal. We do need snow removed, and there's not one person here that is saying that we don't want snow removed off certain roads, which are the main roads and access to the parking areas. And that is what we're here for, to be sure we do get that. And we just don't want a carte blanche to remove snow every place, because then, as in the past, it has taken over, and then they try to do more things. So Mr. Barnett has snow plowed to his driveway, so none of the rest of us do. Self-serving, you know what that means. Boards working and board members that go outside of their jurisdiction, and no place in our CC&Rs does it state that the homeowner association has the right to even rule or do anything. And, there's nothing to show where they have any authority to even speak for the members for that, because the members haven't voted and brought them on board per those CC&Rs to speak for it. I hope we get the permits back and sanity gets back. Unfortunately, in the past, we get the roads closed around Ponderosa and Hillcrest, and part of the parking lot, a third of the parking lot, which was a new parking lot that the county gave us permission to put in, wasn't plowed when Joe Barnett and the snowplow operator, who was a paid operator and was also a board member, decided that they didn't want to do that because they just didn't feel like it. So the members had to work around the tough conditions, and they say, oh, look, we need other roads open. But yet, if the roads are actually plowed and open, they go back under county's jurisdiction. So there's no parking on a plowed road, because then the plows can't get through. Invariably, the snow banks are high at Sky High. So, the door closures, they can't get out the right side of the car if they park close. The roads aren't that wide to start with. You see, the problems are pretty deep, but yet they're worked and ran by single points of contact from Callaway's office, and according to the newsletter, and Joe Barnett describes as Callaway the point of contact. And you're welcome to read this letter if you wish. And this is creating a lot of internal frictions and problems. And we hope that we can see policies that are set so they're open and clear and not done behind closed doors. Members, anybody that wishes to attend a hearing on some policy can actually come and sit and say, what about these different issues? And so it's done publicly, not privately. I'm sorry, Rob Hooten's not around. He could speak that I've tried to be part of it from. Oh, he is here? Okay, great. I've tried to be part of it for the last 3 years. Unfortunately, things are changing, and I would like to see that the snow clearing does go to the parking area. We do need parking for people coming up there, but what we don't need is money's wasted and spent on snow removal for other private enterprises and private businesses. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts. Other? Certainly are.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Dave Archibald with a lot up at the Sky High Ranch. And years ago, about 20 years ago, when I began coming up with a family friend, used to attend the board meetings on a Memorial weekend or a Labor Day weekend to see the operations of Sky High Ranch. Over the years, it's changed. Most recently, the board that we have now does not sit in attention to hear the views of the people. It has become a ruling of whatever they want to do behind closed doors. Used to be we could stand up and voice our opinions and direction that we want to see the board take for our community that we all have ownership in, and it has ended up being self-serving interest. And I do hate to say that because it's very frustrating to be a part of a community that you see that taking place. On many occasions, issues have come up, and for instance, this specific recommendation by the public utilities about the road closure most recently was brought to the attention of the people and was immediately shot down when the same policy that they're trying to push right now was brought into play. The PUC did not have a chance to even get all of the information communicated to the people because someone had intercepted that letter and written their own policy and tried to push it through. The people were so frustrated with it, immediately shut it down. So every meeting I have been at since, items in regards to the snowmobile or plowing policies have been tabled. They will not discuss them with us. If anybody wants to discuss them, as Terry Borsa had said earlier, they'll push the open session to the end, and most of the board will get up and vacate. So nothing can be accomplished except for the frustration of the members. What I would like to see done really is that all that can be done through the county, this is their roads. We've played a partnership role in plowing the roads that have been beneficial both economically to the people in that community to be able to enjoy their property. And it has not cost the county money. We've done that on our own. but it's coming to a point where the financial aspect of it is rising all the time because of personal desires. And I just ask that you would really take a look at how this policy is going to come about, who actually has voted on it when it comes to you, and that you're just very diligent in investigating that, because we want to do what the people want. Not what I want, not what any one person wants. We want to do what's best for the community in their interest. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Archibald. Is there any other member of the public who would like to address an item not on today's agenda? Very well. We're moving along to item number 9, which will be discussion and possible action regarding resolution authorizing Chief Information Officer to purchase a server, Citrix application licenses, and related services, along with budget transfers, 2 of them, in conjunction therewith. This will require a 4/5 vote. And we have Mr. Technology Services, alias Chiching, in front of us today.
Good morning. Howard Stolman, your CIO. Before you is a recommendation to purchase the Citrix application and required server. The immediate benefit to this app, or for this application, is to Public Works. Because of that benefit, they will be participating in a lion's share of the cost. As we roll this out, other departments will benefit as well. Immediately after Public Works will be Public Health, who has a similar circumstance in their remote offices, and they're even connected with a T1. The application is very sluggish. Here on the Government Center it works very well, but as soon as you bring it off-site, it's very sluggish. So this application will allow significant performance gains for both Public Works and Public Health and other off-site locations in the future. So we're recommending that TETR be used to purchase the general fund share of this, and that Public Works would participate in a little over $8,000 in the initial cost. Any questions?
Any questions from the board?
I have one.
Go ahead, Russ.
Mr. Stolman, what is this $1,838 contingency on the proposal? That kind of leapt off the page on something like this. You're buying something in a box. What possible contingency would there be?
The contingencies would be more for professional services. We know the cost of the licenses and the cost of the server, the in-the-box stuff. What's yet to be determined would be any related professional services that would be above and beyond the initial quote. The lion's share of Citrix is actually labor to set it up. We got a quote to set up the Office component. We're just allowing ourselves a little bit of room in that budget to cover any unforeseen issues that come up.
Okay, so there's a line item up above, $4,500 for professional services. That's a quote from the supplier.
True. Yes.
Okay, this isn't a turnkey operation. I mean, I'm not a technophile here. But,
it is not a turnkey. The $4,500 is an approximate quotation. The Citrix is very much integrated into the county's network. So they're estimating that that's what the cost will be to set it up. That's approximately where they've been before in other applications. It just gives us that room to cover any unforeseen things. If we don't use that money, it remains in the general fund and will be available for other issues as they come up.
Okay.
Howard, I have one question. Why wasn't this part of the budget process?
That would be on me. It was just a timing. Initially, it was supposed to go before budget. Tom Mitchell and I had worked it out to where that was supposed to happen before the preliminary budget. The budget process started, and I never brought it forward during that process.
Howard, I see that there's the $1,750 maintenance fee will start next year. Is that, and that's the general fund money?
Right.
Is that per license or for the entire maintenance of the system.
That is for the 10 initial licenses that we'll purchase.
So in the future, it looks like here in the future, the possibility that we may need additional licenses, so that fee
Would raise the support cost,
it
yes.
will go up accordingly, but this covers 10 licenses?
The initial purchases for 10 licenses.
Okay. Thank you.
The county could consider purchasing the additional licenses, for example, for any non-general fund department and having them participate in that maintenance as well on an ongoing basis.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments from the board?
I'm just curious with the interim CAO here. There's a process I want to make sure is equally applied in terms of how we do these things. And as you mentioned, usually the budget is that process. For things that go outside the budget, do you have any advice to us in relation to that?
Outside the budget? Things like
when
this?
yeah, things like this. How do you handle it in a way that's fair and equal to all departments? And how do we set priorities? And how does something like this qualify where something else might not?
Well, I don't know what's happened in the last 6 years. There used to be, I think, a fairly disciplined process we went through, and I'm not, please don't misunderstand, I'm not saying don't approve this, because my office did sign off on it, and I think my signature's on the bottom. But things like this to come up 45 days after the budget's been adopted as a change would certainly be unusual in the past, because we would have sorted through it. The emphasis would have been get it in before preliminary budget. Some of them we act on a preliminary, and then you act on final budget. How you do it afterwards, I always started with what's the general fund impact, particularly relative to our contingencies. I think the thing you have to be very careful over the course of the year is not get into a habit of drawing on contingencies. I would hazard a guess in years past there was seldom any draw on contingency before the first of the year, in part because we made people go through the process. So I guess the easiest way to say it is it's just discipline. The fact that they're using teeter money here, I think, gives it's a non-general fund source, and it otherwise makes sense as long as it's used for the right item. But I don't know exactly how to answer the question, in part because what caught my attention here, when I first read this, I thought it was part of the budget, and then I realized as I'm sitting here and I'm looking at the 2/3 or the 4/5 vote, it's not. And it makes me wonder what the process was to get to this point, which is why I asked Howard.
My hope is that we'll find a way during your tenure to convey to departments how we'll handle this prospectively and what criteria we might be utilizing to judge what does and does not come before us in this regard.
Fair enough.
I just have another question. In reading through this staff report, I see references to the fact that the Bitech folks are already using this equipment. Is it up and running already?
Yes. It's their equipment, not our equipment.
So we haven't spent the money yet.
I'm not following that. Bitech is using Citrix to allow us to connect to the servers in Chico. Bitech did not charge us for that. It was part of our ASP. Well, they did in a sense. It was part of our ASP contract with them when we relocate or we changed the level of service that we have through them, and the servers for Bitech are now in Chico, and they're using Citrix to allow us to connect to them.
Okay. Well, this has a ring of familiarity. One of the most recent times that you were before us was about that reverse 911 system, and you were asking for approval to make the expenditure. And in actuality, I think that it should have been the action that you should have been asking for was to ratify the decision that had already been made, because the equipment had been purchased. It was on the shelf. So I want to caution you that I will look on these things with very much more favor. If you've made a decision that's a good decision, come to me to approve the decision, not to seek my approval to make the expenditure. So if this hasn't been purchased, then I can support it.
Yeah, nothing
Okay.
Citrix has been purchased for our use, for our county use, other than the connectivity to BITEC, but we did not purchase that.
Okay.
Okay, is there a motion?
Move for approval.
I'll second it, and with the hopes that we'll proceed with a policy basis from here forth.
Very well, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries on a 401.
Squeaked by with 4. It squeaked by with 4.
Squeaked by with 4, yes. Okay, where am I here? Moving along to item number 10, discussion and possible action, the adoption of ordinance, actually 2 ordinances, amending the Calaveras County Code as follows. The first, Title 13, Public Services, Chapter 13.01, Storm Water Quality. And the second is Title 15, Building and Construction, Chapter 15.05, Grading and Drainage. Public Works for board action. Morning, Mike.
Good morning. Mike Miller, Public Works. We're requesting and recommending that the board adopt both of these ordinances as introduced at your last meeting on November 6th. Upon adoption of this ordinance, these 2 ordinances, they'll go into effect in 30 days. Separately but related to this, item 11, last time we were before you, you asked for 1 additional definition, and that will be handled in the next item. If you have any questions on the details of this ordinance, I have Rob with me again this morning who knows the detail.
Mr. Chair, I would move adoption of the 2 ordinances.
We need public comment, I think.
Sir, could you ask him to speak up? I want to hear what he has to say.
Okay, Mr. Leverly, we'll endeavor to do that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. He's bringing back these 2 resolutions that were discussed at previous meeting for bringing it back for adoption, and one of them is the stormwater quality, and the other is for the grading and drainage ordinance. So you understand that, and they're being returned here. Yeah, they're being returned here for adoption. So it has been moved, and is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries on a 401. Thank you. And moving along to item number 11, discussion and possible action regarding resolution adopting the grading, drainage, and erosion control manual and permit fee schedule, also from Public Works.
This is the manual that was presented to you last week, along with the ordinances. And as a result of public discussion and comments by the board, staff was directed to put a definition of ancillary work as it related to grading into the design manual. You have copies before you of the modification to page 59 on the design manual. Ancillary work is described now as work that is incidental to the grading and that by its temporary exclusion will not adversely affect the intent or function of the project as a whole or compromise the public health, safety, or the environment. My recollection is there are no other comments regarding the design manual.
Mr. Chair, I would move the resolution as amended.
Second.
Any other comments or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries on a 401. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Now moving on to the 945. This board will adjourn as the Board of Supervisors and reconvene as the San Andreas Cemetery District Board of Trustees. Find it.
Good morning, Shirley.
Good morning. Shirley Ryan, Administrative Office. Before you is the San Andreas Cemetery District budget. The adoption of the budget is needed so that we can submit it to the state by December 1st. It's based on expected revenue and expenditures, and if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
I just have one. There was, before the departure of the former CAO, a plan to pull together all of the cemetery districts for discussion about possible mutual assistance and possibly creating economies of scale for purchase and services and rental of equipment and certain maintenance costs. I'm wondering whether we might yet schedule something like this. I know it doesn't have a direct effect on this, but indirectly it might help save a lot of effort and prevent us from becoming the board of directors for other cemetery districts. So.
And I spoke to Mike Miller this morning regarding that to see if that had been scheduled. It hasn't been yet, but we can certainly do that.
Okay, I would hope we could do this before we get into sometime between Thanksgiving and, say, Christmas, so that we don't enter a new year in our current mode.
During the last year, I've actually asked each board member to do their best to see if the various districts in their supervisorial district would be interested in some sort of cumulative effort, at least on maintenance and such, but I really haven't heard back, so I guess it's a dead issue.
Actually, I have...
You knew that was coming, didn't you?
I have 3 that I think that would be interested.
Okay.
So, and I know we
continue
had communications
Maybe it'll
from...
rise up again.
So we'll continue that effort. Shirley, I did have a question here that I don't understand, and perhaps nobody does, what professional and special services are, but they go from 350 down to 0, down to 5,000, and it seems like it's all over the place. I don't know what they are.
Well, the reason that the line item was increased this year is GIS has been doing some work for the cemetery district, trying to plot the plots, and we really weren't sure exactly how many hours that would require. So we did an estimate to see, because the newer portion of the cemetery, it's my understanding, will be relatively easy. It will be the older portion of the cemetery that could be difficult.
And so this will include like surveying not only the boundaries but the plots available and things of that nature.
Yeah, they're actually, I checked in the other day, and they're trying to plot out exactly even who's where.
Who's where and what's available, what has been purchased, and so that and then get it all into an Excel spreadsheet and a map, so that we will know who we have there, or who's coming to visit soon, or sometime in the future.
Okay. I do have the promise from one company, local company, to survey the boundaries and the plots in there as a gift. And so probably working through the admin office, we have a new policy about accepting
donations,
gifts of in-kind service or money, and so maybe that'll help a little bit.
Okay.
Anyway, is there a motion to approve the budget?
Yes, I move to adopt the resolution for the budget.
Second.
It's been moved.
A quick question,
Sure.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Shirley, the thing that caught my attention a little bit here is that we're running about a deficit of about $12,000.
Which is your cash carry forward.
What?
Which is the cash carry forward. If you look at your
Yeah, but I mean, we're running an operating deficit of about $12,000, which we're taking out of the fund equity. We still have a $60,000 reserve, but we're operating on a cash deficit, are we not?
Well, it's zero-based budgeting, basically, with the difference of being $500. Obviously, if we don't spend that amount, we won't be running at a deficit.
So we budget.
But we budget
at a deficit.
We budget with the fund equity as part of the expenditures, yes.
But the expectation would be that $5,000 being spent for the GPS work, GIS work, excuse me, would not be a carryover, it'd be a one-time. Basically.
Right, it would be a one-time funding.
We're still running at $12,000. That would mean that then we're operating under a $7,000 deficit, assuming everything gets spent in the budget and we don't have unanticipated revenues.
Correct. Assuming everything got spent, you would expend the $12,000 that was left over from the prior year, plus, and you would have a $500 left over for the coming year, without touching the reserves. But the expectation is that we probably won't incur that many expenditures. We've just budgeted for it in case we need it.
Okay.
Well, again, this is precisely the equation that has me concerned about the sustainability of many of our cemetery districts. And until we're able to get some form of mutual aid and again, savings on the basis of economies of scale, we're almost inherently going to be in this, not just here, but in in many other circumstances. And to me, that meeting is critical to at least make available to all of them. If some don't choose, that's fine. But I think oddly talking about survivability in this context has some irony, but it would be nice for these to continue a level of function so at least we know where people are, how people can get there. This is not, it just doesn't come out of magic. How to maintain these places respectfully means a lot to people here, and we need to do a good job of it.
It's just amazing how much dead people cost, and they don't even write transit. Amazing, isn't it?
A lot of them vote, though.
How we looped into that is...
A lot of them vote.
Well, he just couldn't.
That is one of the most creative leaps of logic I've seen yet.
And just so that you...
They cost even more.
And just so you know, Supervisor Tryon, over the last 3 years, the cemetery district has not operated at a deficit. They have received more revenue in than they've actually expended.
The cemetery district you're
Yes.
talking about? Okay, over a 3-year period.
Over the last 3 years, that's correct.
Okay. Do we have a motion? Did we have a motion?
We did, and a second.
And second.
They have motion and second on the table.
And a second. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries on a 401. Adjourn the San Andreas Cemetery District Board and reconvene the Board of Supervisors. Going to board matters. Already?
Record.
Right on the money here. Okay. Supervisor Tryon.
I do not have anything to bring before the board today.
Supervisor Walensky.
No official board-appointed duties this week.
Supervisor Thomas.
The only thing this week is I'll be leaving tonight to go to begin attending the CSAC meetings Wednesday, Thursday.
Oh.
That's it.
Okay. And the only thing I have is the Treasury Oversight meeting, 8:30 on Thursday morning. Let's see. And, I wanted to ask Supervisor Tryon, remind you, or ask you, there's a 10 o'clock Thursday morning, the 15th, there's an exit with the auditor for the Williams Doctor. Are you going to attend that?
Yes.
Okay, very well.
Where does that take place?
You know, I asked, at the time, Mary told me she hadn't determined, so perhaps you should ask her where that's
Carol,
going.
find out where that meeting takes place at 10 a.m. on Thursday. I will also be attending the COG meeting Wednesday night for Maria.
Okay.
Look out, transit.
Okay, Brent, anything?
Just to indicate, next week I will be gone.
Okay. Next week being...
And as a reminder, the government, next week is Thanksgiving, I keep forgetting that, so the government center is open for 3 days next week.
Mr. Chairman, one thing I wanted to mention that's on my calendar here, I'm pretty sure it's right, but did you get an invitation for the Tridam, the 50th anniversary Tridam luncheon on Saturday?
No.
I'll see if I can get an invitation for you.
That'd be real sweet.
Okay, that's supposed to be at 11 o'clock on Saturday morning at the Lake Tulloch Resort.
And also, after those who missed it, very nice ceremony on Sunday for
Wasn't
the
it, though?
dedication of the memorial out here.
Right.
Well, that's terrific.
It was very, very nice. If you haven't seen it, please go by and take a look at it. I was quite impressed with it. Very nice project.
It's very impressive. And for those of you folks that may be watching this on your cable, thank you for bringing that up, Brent. That was on Sunday for Veterans Day. We had the Eagle Scout, Drake Walker, not only did a fantastic job on the memorial out here for the Duke cannons that were at one time in the San Andreas Cemetery. The monument itself is very impressive, and make sure when you get in San Andreas to come by the Government Center, even if you don't have business here, make the time to come by and look at this monument to those residents of Calaveras County who have fallen in the service of their country. It's right out in front on the landing, and the thing that impresses me as much as the monument and the quality of it myself is when when the issue of who owns these cannons came up, people came out of the woodwork. Every organization that has ever existed for the celebration of veterans fallen from the Civil War on weighed in for ownership of the cannons and where they should go. And this young man, Drake Walker, has not only built a beautiful monument for all of us to enjoy, he was the catalyst that brought all these people together, if you think about that. And all these organizations were here and proud to take part in the dedication. And I think it's a real addition to this facility. So if you're in town, please try to take the moment to stop by, take a look, and read the information, and take a look at these historic Civil War cannons. It's worth it.
I don't think there's any significance to the fact that they're aimed right this way.
No, none whatsoever. Thanks for reminding me.
I think they should load and fire them when we're in closed session, and that way we won't hurt any of the citizenry.
Okay, Mr. Jones?
David Sirius and I will be putting on a mandatory ethics training on December 21st. I'd like to, as for all of you have complied with the ethics training, but for any other board members, that training is widely available. I'd like to encourage people to take that training on the internet. There are a variety of sources. If anybody needs some information, they can call my office and we'd be happy to provide the information. For those who absolutely can't get connected with the internet, we'll be putting on that training on December 21st at the, I think it's at CalWorks, but anyway, that's going to be available at the end of the year.
Okay, you say at CalWorks, is it going to be all day, Jim, or do you know?
It's at I tell you what, I should have checked my facts. I'll repeat this announcement next meeting and make sure I have accurate information for people.
Okay. Carol, anything additional? Okay, this meeting is adjourned. We're going to go into closed session now, folks.